What's up, everybody? Yes. Oh, boy, I tell you what. Well, it's kind of neat. We missed yesterday. A lot of work going on in the shop. But I figured out today it was great because a wonderful bunch of crazy stuff happened in this world. And it gives us some meme cannon fuel fire to talk about. So thank you guys for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and share what's going on here. Now, this has been debunked. What's going on over here? Do you see that? That is Barbara Bush. See now, we're going to dive into this.
In our country, we're cheating our children, and I decided that there are very many good programs out there.
Okay.
Reading is fundamental. There are a lot of good ones, and that I could take a page from every First Lady's book. People's Republic of China.
First lady, you say. First lady, they say. So the other day I was in one of these videos and I kind of slid across that there and it skidded into my feed, and I was like, this has got to be AI. There's another thing that I thought that was AI. We're going to talk about Judge Engoron and his naked selfies. I thought that was I thought it was a photoshopped Geraldo picture. You know, because I was like, yeah, this is just getting too weird, guys. No, it's true because it's been debunked, and now Trump's even tweeted about it in his Truth Social. So that is Barbara Bush over there. That is Barbara Bush over there. That is not an AI picture. That was Barbara Bush.
Okay, so that was awesome, you guys. But that's the last time we're going to do that, right?
What's up, everybody? Thank you for clicking in and hanging out. All right. Boy, I tell you what. Barbara Bush was a dude. Who would have ever thought that? I did not know that. And that right there we just seen there was the RNC convention that Vivek Ramaswamy. I think he won that debate just because he had the real energy that we need. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But anyway, they were chanting Trump. I've never seen that happen before at an RNC convention. Of course, I haven't watched a whole lot of RNC conventions, but I don't believe I've ever heard it, and not that I can recall anybody saying, hey, there was a dude that wasn't even there they were chanting for. That speaks a lot right there. And what if, with Vivek Ramaswamy, that is, I don't know who Trump's VP is going to be, but like you need somebody that can test the waters. If you watch if Vivek Ramaswamy's numbers look good, that helps go into. That's like having a cutaway guy do all your debating for you. Yeah, that's pretty smart. I don't know if that's the case. Could you imagine if that would? I'm not taking away from. I don't know anything about Vivek Ramaswamy as personal life or anything. I don't know how good he is. It would be as a president. But imagine if you had kind of like a Key and Peele episode where you had this dude come in there and just say all this right here. We'll see how this rolls out. And if it looks good here, then we're going to roll it out. That's smart. And by the way, if you never knew Trump, he was really, really good about building brands. Physical items are a product of a brand. In other words, if you got to have a name, you've got to have something that's not tangible, but needs to be acknowledged so that tangible something has representation. And Trump's done that with his name when it comes to all kind of different companies. Things we don't even know about. So there is a Trump President Incorporated. That's kind of weird. That came out in a court case. By the way, court cases, I want to show you real quick. Thank you guys for coming in here and hanging out. And I want to slide over here. Let me get myself out of the way. Let me just move out of the way here. Now, just to touch on this for a minute, just to touch on this for a minute. Touching things is definitely seems to be the new fad when it comes to what was coming out about a lot of the Catholic churches. And I've got a Frank Zappa. Speaking about Catholic girls. Does anybody remember Frank Zappa, the song Catholic Girls? Anyways, we'll talk. I got Frank Zappa back in the late 70s, maybe early 80s, warning us all with his wonderful. Hey, dude was he was a madman when it came to musician stuff. He had a really strange style of music, but that was just because of his free think, and I think that everybody liked that about him just as much of his music. But Catholic churches will now allow transgenders to be baptized and serve as godparents. You don't say. I saw this the other day. That okay. You see where we're going with? No wonder Nancy Pelosi said that she'll get her commune one way or another, commune or whatever you want to call it. Look at that. You reckon? Hey, do you think I've got an Alex Jones thing on his Twitter, on my Twitter feed? It's just I don't even pay attention to that. That's why they call her Peekaboo. Peekaboo. I don't want to. Okay, hold on. Let me show you something right quick here. Find this. So we've seen the Pope. Stick with me for a second here. I got to find this, if I can. There it is. Well, this is stick. Remember the Pope now, and this is Frank Zappa. Check this out.
Schools train people to be ignorant with style. They give you the equipment that you need to be a functional ignoramus. American schools do not equip you to deal with things like logic. They don't give you the criteria by which to judge between good and bad in any medium or format. And they prepare you to be a usable victim for a military-industrial complex that needs manpower.
Oh, wow. Okay. Did you know that he passed away at a relatively young age under some weird circumstances? Like, I think it was a physical illness of some sort, if I'm not mistaken. But I've seen documentation. I know that it exists. They have a way of doing it. Deep state people can make people ill some kind of way. I don't know what their methods are, but we've seen often where, somebody that's well outspoken, their health goes downhill really fast. They die of a heart attack or some kind of cardiovascular disease. And that's been something that the deep state CIA operatives have many documentations on how they can subdue a victim through gray warfare like that. I don't know what their methods are, but anyhow, fell victim to that, I think.
Than cartoons, because I don't believe that television is all bad, and some things encourage them to watch things on television other than cartoons, because I don't believe that television is all bad, and some things that are on are very useful. And give them some support. Let them feel that you as a parent want them to be smart, not just to be successful, not just to be a nice little person. That you want them to develop their thinking apparatus.
Well, so in that video, and you can go back on my Twitter page and you can see it. She's asked him specifically. This has to go on my Rumble channel. I'll get this up later, but there's testimony from Maria Zack, and this would never fly on YouTube, so I'll get this up on Rumble later. And by the way, just to debunk something real quick, this dude right here, come to find out, is very well possibly, everybody's seen this dude. He's the guy that supposedly he shot some climate protesters. Well, what do you know? Misinformation that's been produced at the helm of the World Economic Forum. And this right here has not been completely confirmed, but it definitely kind of would make a lot of sense. I could see this being the case, because if you watch some of the video of the interaction with this man, it's a person that definitely did get shot. I'm not saying this didn't happen. The way that the man was arrested. And by the way, it's supposedly some kind of professor or something like that. He's like some kind of, a lawyer. I'm sorry, he's a lawyer. Okay, let me read this right quick. Major psyop alert. Turns out Kenneth Darlington is a World Economic Forum deep state operative, and the people he shot were not actually climate protesters. And I read the article earlier, and what it talks about is, in the country that this is going on, Panama, the government has a history of doing this dating back even before Panama Canal. They would get rid of citizens who stood up against the canal. And because what would happen is this was a way for a land grab. The government would sell off mineral rights to people's land, and these companies would pillage their land for what little bit of minerals they could get off of, whether it was not even worth doing the digging for what little was there. They would do it anyways, ravish the land, then end up making the land grab. And then people in that area were protesting what was happening because they didn't want any more of this mining to go on, robbing their land, taking their resources, polluting their water. And it's not necessarily climate activists, but it's activists against a globalist organization who was taking their property, destroying their property. And so there's a big difference. You've got those stop oil people who are just walking around aimlessly like like zombies. But these people here actually had a legitimate reason to say, hey, because in all honesty, they're what better way to label somebody who is a climate activist who's just trying to label them that way? The conservative movement goes against them. It puts a nice little twist for the lefties to have some talking point against conservatives. And this guy right here that done that crime was totally a paid operative by the World Economic Forum, allegedly. So people out there, we can debunk that a little bit. Now, getting into some of the stuff that we talked about in the title. Says here right now, Jack Smith is currently moving to strike a filing from former President Donald Trump under the Classified Information Procedures Act. So Jack Smith mysteriously moves to nix Trump's classified docs filing in D.C. case. Now, when he was with Letitia James, he pulled out a piece of paper that said it would have vindicated him completely of what's going on, was not allowed to read it in court. I was watching this stupid cuck comedian, Stephen Colbert, last night. He was on. I flipped through the channels. He was on, and it just so happened he was, using his comedic platform because it's a late night comedy show, which is also a propaganda spreading network. And he was reading about stuff that was being charged against Trump's and talking about how the CISA was not secure enough to read the classified documents that Trump brought to the case that was going on in the Jack Smith stuff, that the attorney who's overseeing that, can't remember her name right now. My gosh, I'm so sorry. Everything kind of runs together. Please forgive me. But you know who I'm talking about, the woman judge who was overseeing the Jack Smith case. It'll come to me in a little bit. But there was a pause put in because she had to review what was going on. There was also some allegations against Trump's employees working at Mar-a-Lago, saying that that the left had made a conspiracy up, saying that Trump purposely flooded a room to get rid of evidence when that's shown to not be the case at all. And they actually are going after some of Trump's employees there. One is a foreign dude, doesn't even speak English. He's a legal immigrant who's older, and he just kind of just been, Trump's known him for years. Been working, not known him, but as an employee, he's been there for years, and was its lawyers are conflict of interest with prosecutors because Jack Smith has subpoenaed so many people that the attorneys working for Jack Smith are also representing some of the people that are trying to be gone after. So it's a big mess. Well, anyhow, between that whole rigamajam, which first word being very, very, very much key factor. An unexpected move, Special Counsel Jack Smith is moving to strike a filing from this. And the motion was filed on Thursday evening. It's unclear exactly what Smith is trying to throw out, why he's trying to throw this out. But legal expert Bradley Moss speculated a possible reason in a post on social media, which was Trump's post talking about what would happen. And it was on his Truth Social. In a response to a fellow legal analyst, Empty Wheel was asking whether President Trump might have improperly included classified information in the filing. Moss said it's possible. It certainly would explain why they all could file today, and noticed that the pleading had been given to the CISA. CISA will know more soon, hopefully. So what was on Stephen Colbert's mind is he saw the whole premise that Trump's not allowed to have these classified documents. And that's totally not the case at all. He's president. He can declassify anything. This has been proven many times. If you want to go back to any of the stuff that's recorded just go as shortly far back as the Clinton administration and all the documents that were there. Millions. By the way, they were only looking for approximately 13 or 14 classified documents. Now, documents are on a page. Documents can be a lot. But let's just look at it like this here. Whenever Obama was going to court, and that's whenever the judge used the precedent of what they did with Clinton, and all the classified documents were stored at an abandoned car dealership, not under lock and key or supervision. They were allowed to be declassified because Clinton was president. Well, they used the same argument for Obama. And so where's the gray area when it comes to what Trump was doing? He can declassify anything because that's just how he's chief executive. And that's how they've used that law. And so they would have to retroactively go after people if they were to now throw this to the curb. Think about that. And that's the Trump administration. The Trump administration going against the Obama administration. The Obama administration is all campaigned on having a complete and total scandal-free administration or term or whatever, even if they're trying to maintain that up until this day, because they want Michelle Obama to come in there and be running for president. That's going to be their their so-called secret weapon, guys. Can you believe that these people are so stupid that they don't think we don't understand what they're going to do? But to them, they think they're actually going to pull one over on us and put Michelle Obama like we wouldn't see it coming. And they've got to have a scandal-free administration ahead of that, even when it comes down to the weird death behind Tafari Campbell. Please not forget about that. Dude, man, drowned in like possibly not 8 feet of water, because when you look at the timeline of the flow of where the current is and the time that it happened, there's a good possibility that the water wasn't even deep enough for him to be drowned in. And there was a lot of other circumstances that were kind of weird about him not being clothed and looked like he'd been beaten. And then the whole 911 redacted stuff that's all public FOIA information. Pretty strange, guys. But anyhow, that's a really good win, I think, for Trump so far. I think there's no telling what was on those classified documents, what they even said. But I do think that it probably I watched. If you watched the video that I'm going to put on Rumble that I could not show, because it actually would confirm possibly why he had these documents and brought them to court, and why they're nixing some of this stuff and where this can go from here. I'll get that up today at some point, and I'll put a link in my community post. But an entire local government voted out by town suspicious of a Chinese factory. Okay, I've talked about this before a lot. Anything that's Chinese owned or Chinese, Chinese restaurants are a good example. And when it's owned by Chinese people that you see them in there, chances are those are just employees. The guy that owns the building is not there. The people who own the building live over in China. They are members of a communist party. That's the only way most of the time that these Chinese people can leave, unless they actually smuggle themselves out of China. You can't just get on a plane and say, I'm leaving China, sayonara. They don't, or ping pong ching, I'm sorry. They can't do it. They you have to have special privileges. You have to, or like I say, smuggle yourself out. So if you're from China and you're running a business over here in the United States, it's not at all an American business. It's completely Chinese run, Chinese owned. And so if you go to a Chinese restaurant, chances are they're gonna crap all over you, not think twice about it. Give you the awfulest, cheapest, nastiest food that's going to make you sick. Everybody says they get terrible indigestion and gas after Chinese food, but can't not eat it because gosh knows what other chemicals they're putting in there, just like they do at the Chick-fil-A restaurants with their biscuit, with their chicken that they make. There's all these MSG and different things that make you latch onto this food and make you want it even though it's no good. It's weird. Taco Bell does the same thing, because everybody talks about Taco Bell tearing up their stomach, but they go there every time. I can't stop not going. It's just like, man, let's just go to Taco Bell. I know it's going to be nasty, but I just want a taco. Think about that. Okay, anyhow, that's all alleged, by the way. I don't know if that's true or not, guys. We'd have to do a little more work. But you in the comment section, tell me your opinion on that. But voters in Michigan community removed 5 local offices in a recall an election fueled by opposition to a Chinese company's plan to make components for electric vehicle batteries. And dude, totally not a clean way of generating electricity right now, because batteries have to be charged for one thing, and have to be charged by something. Either it's a really invasively mined solar panel that uses a bunch of rare earth minerals to build that's not reusable once it's been expended, or it's run by a diesel or petroleum based generator or a windmill that's out there that's not reusable either once it's done, in the middle of the ocean killing whales. But anyhow, by the way, is it the Chinese people who don't like the whales? Anyway, I can't remember. So the Green Township supervisor, clerk, treasurer, and 2 trustees, all Republicans, were defeated Tuesday by challengers that listed no party affiliation. See, the uniparty is strong. They know about this. So like, I'm not running for a Republican. I'm not running for a Democrat. I'm running as no affiliation other than for you people, because the uniparty is strong, guys. Now, here's the deal. This is a really small town of a really insignificant population. So this, through Governor Whitmer, who's right now currently facing impeachment, said this was an opportunity of a lifetime for thousands of jobs. There's not that many people there. It was so what they would have to, and these jobs would not be they're skilled labor jobs that don't exist. The people don't exist in this area that do that kind of work. So what do? So you move in a whole demographic of people, not necessarily by race, but just the people aren't from this area. That you're going to move in a population bigger than the people who already live there just to work at this factory, who is more than likely going to have an explosion due to the infrastructure attack from illegals coming across the border. I know, right? And that's just going to poison their water and their air, and everybody will have to shelter in place like they did in Texas that just had a recent chemical plant explosion. I'm sure you guys heard about that. Just shelter in place and get you, go outside and sit and enjoy the view. I mean, they're like Palestine, that nobody was, don't evacuate. Just stay right there and drink plenty of water that comes right there out of the ground, and then eat the snow. I mean, so these people were like, no, we're not having it. We're voting you out. And I don't know, there's already, and by the way, now that these, they have been, voted out, there's a certain amount of time frame before these jobs are out and new people are sworn in. I don't know how long that time frame is. I think it's just several weeks or months. But what they're doing now is these people that put all this stuff into motion against the will of the people, just because it was a way for them to make a whole bunch of money and launder it in their pockets, they actually are ramming through all their legislation as fast as possible to F those people into A, because they know they don't want it, and when they do this, it's going to be nixed completely. How do you like that? If you don't believe me, residents in Washington State blast Biden administration to release grizzly bears near their communities. yeah, they're actually going to release grizzly bears in the community, nearby people that they're not indigenous to the area, do not live there. So I don't know what these people did to the Biden regime. I don't know what kind of memes they made and they shared out. But all I can tell you is they're going to put bears out there and they're going to eat up. The thing is, it's not a very well populated area. In other words, it's a lot of farmland. And you got cows and ducks, little cute ducks, guys. They're going to make these bears eat the ducks. Little ducks just waddling around, ducks, yeah. And these farms and orchards are the area. And by the way, the bears would be very invasive to all that fruit and animals. They would go after the fruit trees. They'd get into the animals. Thrive and flourish in this area too, by the way, where you would have to, there's a bunch of people who stood up against this, and so I don't know what's going to happen with that, but hopefully they can keep that from happening. But meanwhile, not only are they releasing malaria mosquitoes out by Bill Gates, they're going to release probably evil FBI mRNA modified eat you conservative bears, because I think that's all that live in that area. Bill Gates gives them some stuff, and next thing you know, they're programmed. I don't know. I have no idea. But Joe Biden takes an hour and a half to put a shirt on. Hey, I like the people in the back. The people in the back trip me out. The one dude in the glasses over here and all these people. Look at them clapping like, you can do it, Biden. Get that shirt on. Get that shirt on. The one guy over here on the top right with the flannel shirt on, he's amazed. He's like, I'm starting to see this. And the guy over here, I'm just watching the people behind him. Here we go. Get that shirt on. The music runs out and they have to start it back over again. Oh, yeah, get my back. Help me. Where's Jill Biden at? All right. Okay, so now where do I go after that, he says. And so, let me see here. We'll make sure I haven't forgot anything. Oh, I'm going to go to my Twitter page in a second, but you hear me talk about the dome, the sphere, the thing that's in Las Vegas that they're going to use for mind control and everything. And it's built in a time where we're in a shrinking economy. They have a climate change problem going on to the extent where they have to tell us we can't drive our vehicles. We don't need to eat any red meat. We have to eat bugs to try to offset a carbon emission thing or whatever. And so, like I say, in the argument with this dome is that we'll have it all on renewable energy, which is a solar panel and or lithium battery. Not renewable. This thing is losing terribly. Money is not being, and there's a huge divide. It says Las Vegas Sphere tossing tons of money as CFO. Las Vegas Sphere losing tons of money as CFO quits. I swear there was a T there. I think that the Chinese Communist Party has infiltrated my computer and they change the words up when I read them, and then I go back and look and it's back like it's supposed to be. Or is that just me? Or is that just happen? Is it the keyboard? They're always after my keyboard. They're like, no, you're not hitting a U. They're hitting an X. I'm like, what am I doing? I did not hit an X. But the sphere has instantly become a recognizable part of Las Vegas skyline, for better or for worse. Since especially they're like, well, we're going to get U2 to play there. This is not a good financial idea at all to have U2 playing there. I'm just saying, they actually suck. Anybody U2 fans out there? Does anybody know how bad they suck? The sphere has instantly become a recognizable part of the Las Vegas skyline. Of course, we know that. But reportedly on the loss of the 98.4 million in the first fiscal quarter ending in September 30th, right after U2 officially opened the venue with the Biggest Turd show, because they are the biggest turd. If you ever watched South Park, that's a really good episode where they actually found out that Bono is the turd. They were making, you have to see the episode. I don't want to describe it because you won't know what I'm talking about. But the long story short, Bono is the biggest turd, and he's always been a big, huge, staunch, like lefty supporter of weird agendas and all that. But the sphere thing cost $2.3 billion to build, while it brought in a fraction of the amount, approximately $6.7 million, from its opening through the event. In advertising, it still wasn't enough to break even, as operating costs totaled about $7.8 million, almost $8 million. The deal is, what happened, and the reason why the CFO left is because they had a shouting match between the two. Now, will this thing go away? No, it's not going to go away. What's going to happen is they've actually got, it looks like U2 will be there. Like, for now, the sphere will have to sustain itself with the U2 residency and the upcoming Las Vegas takeover. The Las Vegas Grand Prix takeover. So in other words, if you want to go watch a live concert, you can go watch U2 at that mind control sphere. But the reason why I call that is because there was a video I put out. If you go back to the last video, you can fast forward it and find the spot where a man breaks down and slows down the actual imagery being flashed inside of this thing, which can be seen outside as well. That's it behind it in that picture. That's actually a big ball of LED lights. But inside of it, when you go inside of it, there's all these, like the way that the bleachers are set up, there's a lot of sensory devices installed to where you have sight, sounds. I would not even be surprised if they figure out a way to put smell in there, which brings me back to a Squidbillies episode whenever Dan Halen was spraying the crowd with this cooling spray, which is making everybody hallucinate and see this alternate reality while the whole town went downhill. That's a whole other video altogether. But anyhow, with all the light displays and the sound and the attenuation of your senses through all the devices they've installed and things you don't probably know, with frequency emitters that can infiltrate. People. I did a video too, by the way, on one of my other videos that shows where they can project sound into your head through a frequency. This is a thing. You don't believe me? Dig into some of my videos and I'll show you. There's proof. But anyways, you go on this thing and you're subjected to God knows what kind of psychological operations to go on for it. And by the way, when they do this, there's a bunch of data that's gathered, and your phones that you have in your pocket are listening to your metadata, your heart rate, your breathing rate, your blood pressure, because it can just so many things. You got that little watch on you and all that, and so there's so much data that gets harvested when you go to this that they're using it for there's just no ifs, ands, or buts, because it costs so much to build. It's not going to make any money, and it's not going to go anywhere because they're going to keep pumping fiat currency into this thing to create more and more surveillance and possibly data harvesting and mind control. If that sounds too far-fetched, you still got a little ways to go, but just stick with me because you'll see. And I've got, let me see here. Let me see if I can find. Get back into this here. Let me get back into this. I want to try to find. I'll leave us out on some lulls. We'll leave us out on some lulls. That's Howard Stern. Back when Howard Stern was kind of actually not funny. He was funny at one point. No joke. And there we could enjoy humor. But by the way, this is the Judge Engoron's wife, which Trump's wife's younger than him. So I'm not going to use age as the definitive factor on character when it comes to how old Judge Engoron's wife is. But Well, we'll do this though, because it is like a whole conflict of interest when you have a significant other who has a certain bias, and it's not, and even if you, and everybody does, but they just don't advertise it because you're not supposed to advertise it because it's an open conflict of interest, which gives lawyers a legitimate claim to move the case into a different direction. But here is Engoron's wife, Dawn Marie, who's got all these images up on her LinkedIn page. Now that have been scrubbed, yes, there's angry staffer, also spoken like someone said, Dawn Marie, and so there's a bunch of communications confirming that's her account, and you've got a bunch of biased Dawn Marie posts actually, speaking out against that. You're speaking out in her, what she, in other words, there's a conflict of interest. Yeah, and Laura Loomer exposed that. That has to, like I say, has to go on Rumble. And I'm going to put that up, but it has to do with our 2020 system and what kind of real actual thing. Does anybody remember the servers that were pulled over there in Sweden? There was a report that they had found servers in Sweden back in the day. I'm trying to recap a little bit about what happened and all the things that went down. People were hitting us hard and heavy, and then YouTube was taking everybody down. That woman right there is going to tell you, and you're going to be able to put pieces together. Marsha Blackburn, real quick. Watch this.
Business of issuing subpoenas now. Here are a few more that I've filed. A subpoena to Jeffrey Epstein's estate to provide the flight logs for his private plane, given the numerous allegations of human trafficking and sexual abuse surrounding Mr. Epstein. I think it is very important that we identify everybody that was on that plane and how many trips they took on that plane and the destinations to which they arrived.
So, and since it's weird, just like Maxwell, that's Engoron's wife, by the way. And she's supposed to be like 23 years younger than him, but not looking so good. Not holding up that well. Looks like she's a psychoanalyst and psychotherapist in a private practice. Brain Mind Harmony, psychoanalytic associated with New York affiliate. So that's Dawn Laura Engoron. That's the judge's wife. I'm not using her age as a discriminating factor, but just the fact of what she's doing with her post about Trump. And she's a psychotherapist. What kind of, what does psychotherapists do? Therapists, psychologists, what are they into? They into messing with people's brains, man. And there's video of that man right there. This here, something about this dude DUI, but I'm not worried about that. Now, look. Okay, here we go.
Were arrested and charged in federal court with operating a sophisticated, high-end brothels in Cambridge, in Watertown, and in Eastern Virginia. These establishments were allegedly promoted through two different websites, BostonTop10.com and BrownEyesGirlsVA.blog.
Okay. There was a huge brothel arrest. They actually said arrests were made at a high-end trafficking ring involving government contractors, professors, military officers, executives, pharmaceutical companies, and more. Okay. There is a really strong possibility this was all a Chinese operation to use this as a sort of a on the boots on the ground Epstein Island right in the United States, to compromise politicians and other high-end officials. Now listen to the people: government contractors, professors, military officers, executives at pharmaceutical companies. Okay? And think about the censorship that people were put under when they spoke out about what was happening with certain things that were being mandated. And look at the coalition between the people. And now, I don't know if it was Fauci or anybody like that. This is Letitia James. But I do know that that things exist. Things exist. I got this one last video I want to share. And then I'll leave us out on some lulls. But this right here ought to... I have done videos before where there's other people saying the exact same thing, word for word, and the reaction from the people who are asked about certain things that relate to this is a tell-all thing that Alex was right. Watch this.
they have sexual rituals, some of the most ancient Egyptian rituals, where they believe they are possessed by entities, basically space aliens. When you're I don't believe this. Let's be clear. When you look at John Kerry, though, and his tomb mate, George W. Bush, and the rest of them, these are people that had gay sex hundreds of times in coffins, begging for spiritual entities to possess them. And you know what? Put John Kerry on screen. You know what? Put the video from yesterday. That's the really crazy one. These are people that get in coffins hundreds of times and giant pits of feces and have sex with each other. People go, oh, well, that's just fraternity fun. No, ladies and gentlemen, that's not what it is. And by the way, a lot of people that get tapped for it won't be part of all that. That's the higher level initiates. John Kerry, ladies and gentlemen, is a member of a satanic death cult.
It's true. Maybe, allegedly. Possibly, maybe. I don't know.
And no wonder he wants to start World War III.
Oh.
I mean, what do you call it psychologically? I mean, if you don't believe in these entities like they do, okay, it doesn't exist. Doesn't matter. They believe entities possess them in pits of feces.
Yeah. So, in other words, when he said at the very end, is your reality is your perception. And I've talked about this before. If I perceive that that I have special Wicca powers and I can create potions, you actually might not directly affect somebody, but you engulf yourself in a satanic state of mind, which moves you in a direction of negativity and a negative energy, which then can become a collective conscience and drive society into a weird direction. That's the thing. That's what perception is all about. In other words, that's where it's so nice to have a really cool big old ass sphere in Las Vegas pumping out a whole bunch of gosh knows what into you so that you can move your brain in that direction. Now, I want to leave us out on some lulls a little bit. I'm going to have to figure out how much of this I can play. But back whenever, what's up with Howard Stern now? You know, he decided to go the complete other way, scared to death to do anything. And I got that video I'm going to put on Rumble. That's going to be the next. I'm going to cut that as soon as I get done with this. But watch this right here. This is Howard Stern doing blackface with the dude Sherman Hensley from the Jeffersons and what's the other one? Amen. That show Amen. Remember that show? Come on and watch this.
Everything I'm going to say here tonight, so it's all right. Ain't that right? You smell it?
Oh, no.
I didn't write that. Well, you use a smell.
Oh, no. I don't know.
I got some more jokes for your New Year's Eve party there.
You're not tired of this.
And don't be racially offended, because Whoopi done wrote them for me, okay? Here we go.
Go ahead.
Black hole.
Black hole.
You're going to love this. Hey, look at that. What do I loves most about the Whoopi?
That's great timing.
Hey, Robin, what does you call a black rocket scientist?
I don't know.
No.
Whoopi wrote it. Hey, did you happen to notice this?
No, what
this
is that?
This my mother, Mama Dancing. Why, she done working blackface, too.
She must be very proud.
Yeah.
Now I know you really love it, Ted. You the man.
Okay. In case you didn't know, is back in the day, Ted Danson from the show Becker and actor in other shows, where him and Whoopi Goldberg were married, and so you got Howard Stern portraying to be Ted Danson, and yeah. So if there's some breaks in there, it's because I had to move certain words around. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate all the wonderful new subscribers. Have a wonderful rest. I don't know when you'll see this, but it's the weekend for me after the day. So we're on this wake up. Tomorrow is the weekend, but we got a lot of work to do. And I want to thank you all. And have a good one, guys. I'm out. Peace out. Peace out.
Look, the people there cheering for losing in the Republican Party. Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk. We'd have 10 times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about and bringing more people into our party. You think the Democrats, and we've got Kristen Welker here, you think the Democrats would actually hire Greg Gutfeld to host a Democratic debate? They wouldn't do it. And so the fact of the matter is, I mean, Kristen, I'm going to use this time because this is actually about you in the media and the corrupt media establishment. Ask you, the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that you pushed on this network for years, was that real or was that Hillary Clinton made up disinformation? Answer the question. Go.
Mr. Roberts.